Strategist and CNN political commentator Maria Cardona and press advisor to former House Speaker John Boehner, Maura Gillespie. Ladies, thanks to both of you for being with us. I guess, Maria, reaction to you first. And I should note, I mean, the Trump campaign seems to be saying there's an issue over the mute button at the debate. But he was just asked about this a few moments ago. We're trying to cut the sound, and we may play the sound before the end of this segment. But we do have it. All right, let's play it. Let's go ahead and play it. All right.
Would you want the microphones muted in the debate whenever you're not speaking?
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on. But the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. I didn't like it the last time, but it worked out fine. They're trying to change it. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
President Trump, how are you specifically preparing for the debate versus Harrison?
I'm not. Really, I'm not spending a lot of time on it. I think my whole life I've been preparing for a debate.
All right, and I just want to repeat, he said, quote, "We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me." This was in response to the question, would you want the microphones muted? It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on. I don't know what that means. The agreement was that it would be the same as it was the last time. I didn't like the last time, but it worked out fine. So, Maria, it sounds as though what he's saying, and we just listened to this a few moments ago, is he's just fine how the mics are, if they're muted, if they're not muted, whatever. It sounds as though he's ready to do this debate. So what's going on here?
You know, it's Donald Trump. You never know what he's going to say from one moment to the next.
Yeah.
You know, he hates all of the mainstream media. ABC is within that, the fake media. He said that earlier, which is why he said he didn't want to do the debate. And then there was this back and forth about the rules. But you know what fundamentally that says to me, Jim, what he just said, that it doesn't matter. It says to me that the real worry is with his team, because his team understands that when Donald Trump is unleashed, he is his own worst enemy, and that every time something comes out of his mouth, it alienates the voters that he needs to win. So I hope that he says yes, and he tells his team, yes, I want the mics on. This is what happens at the rallies when you have Republican strategists and advisors begging him to stick to teleprompter, to stick to the talking points, and to stick to the policy. They can say that until they're blue in the face. He doesn't do that because he doesn't want to do that. He thinks that what worked for him in 2016 is going to work with him again, and he's super wrong about that.
Yeah, Maura, it sounds like it's the Trump campaign that wants the mute button on Donald Trump.
Absolutely. And why wouldn't they? To Maria's point, I mean, it's really frustrating to watch him time and time again go off message and really derail what could be a really good opportunity for Republicans down ballot. The House is looking to grow their majority. The Senate could possibly flip. But with Donald Trump out there talking about crowd sizes and how good looking he thinks he is, that's not helpful. And again, using this press conference opportunity to talk about, which should have been about Afghanistan and what happened to those 13 service members, he still went back on this message that his campaign clearly is asking him to talk about that he doesn't seem to care about, because I don't think he really does care about the debate, about being president. He wants just to be in front of his MAGA world to espouse this, authority over them and to show the control he has. He could say the most contradicting things and they will still nod their heads and support him.
Yeah, I mean, Maria, one of the things I've learned about Donald Trump over the years is he does like to play games with these debates. I mean, he has this Truth Social post. Yeah. I mean, that appears to be setting the stage for him to withdraw from the debate. Why would I do the debate against Kamala Harris on that network? And so is it about the mics? Is it about ABC? Obviously the people at ABC are terrific journalists, so they would do an excellent debate. So what is this?
Here's the problem. Yeah.
He didn't do the debates with the Republican candidates during the primary process.
Right.
Let's not forget that.
It's never about anything other than what Donald Trump wants at that moment, at that very moment. Yeah. And that is the problem, because Donald Trump and Donald Trump's campaign is about Donald Trump. And you saw this massive contrast during the Democratic convention. Everything that came out of every speaker especially Vice President Kamala Harris the last night, was about public service, was about here's what I'm going to do for you. I wake up every morning. This is about you and your families. Donald Trump is all about what Donald Trump wants at that moment. And what he wants, Mara is right. He wants the world to see that he has control over his campaign, over his MAGA supporters.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anything else.
He said, he was asked, how are you preparing for the debate? He says, I'm not really. So, I mean, he thinks,
He doesn't care.
my experience covering him is that he thinks he can wing it. But I do want to play a little bit because Trump was just asked whether he would appoint RFK Jr. To a cabinet post after RFK Jr. endorsed Donald Trump last Friday. Let's listen to that, talk about it on the other side.
Are you considering RFK Jr. as your health secretary if you're reelected?
Well, we haven't talked about it, but he knows a lot about the subject, and he's really been well received by the party, I will tell you. He's a great guy.
Maura, not exactly knocking it down that RFK Jr. may be a part of a future Trump administration. And obviously we should note RFK Jr., a vaccine skeptic, I mean a vaccine denier for a large part of recent memory.
Yeah, this is one hard to believe that they didn't have this conversation, because I'm fairly confident that's what RFK Jr. was doing by endorsing Trump, was to ensure he would get a cabinet position should Trump be elected. So again, I'm just going to parse that there with that caveat. But I do think that this is, again, a sign of what Donald Trump has done, and again, making it about himself, what we're talking about. But it does not reflect what the Republican Party down ballot is looking forward to. Again, they're focused on the economy, on safety and security, and the House and Senate really need to distance themselves and focus on the policy issues, because what's happening at the top of the ticket for Republicans, which, you know, I'm a Republican and it's largely our own fault, right? We let Donald Trump be our candidate again. But they need to distance themselves, because if they have any chance in November, it can't be with the erratic behavior of Donald Trump. He is honestly rattled by Kamala Harris. He keeps talking about Biden because he is worried about the fact that he is also aging, and that what happens if he loses and the party throws him out. So he's trying to get ahead of things by really, again, hitting spaghetti at the wall on so many different levels. But it's showing his decline, honestly, and the party needs to take back their own narrative and the message.
Yeah, and Maura, I think you're absolutely right. If things continue to go downhill for Trump over these next couple of months, you are going to see the party to attempt to separate itself on the congressional ballots. By and large, you're going to see a lot of candidates going their own way, and maybe even speaking out against Trump just to save their own seats in their districts and so on. And Maria, I did want to ask you about this. Trump claimed over the weekend he would be, quote, great for reproductive rights, and then